But the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you? So since you, the WBC, and you got the green belt, which don't mean it, and real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. Who you talking about?
Can you talk about the difficulty of this decision?
Yes, it's very sad. It is very complicated to have to vacate a title, to withdraw recognition of a champion hurts very deeply.
And this is what TKO is saying. Why do you have to pay them? Don't pay them. Don't adhere to their crazy rules.
Terence Crawford is calling for a boycott of the WBC, slamming the organization for stripping Shakur's title. He criticizes their overbearing rules and excessive fees, accusing them of arrogance and a disregard for fairness in the sport. Crawford's bold stance challenges the WBC's authority, highlighting the need for a shift in the way they operate and treat fighters.
$100,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any of the other sanctioned bodies? Huh? To that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA?
Terence Crawford goes head-to-head with Mauricio Sulaiman, boldly declaring that he could take the belt if he wanted, pointing out that Sulaiman has been imposing a pointless $100,000 fee on Shakur. Crawford's strong words strike at the heart of the issue, criticizing the unnecessary financial burden placed on fighters while challenging the WBC president's authority.
You can take the fucking belt. It's a trophy anyway.
Mauricio Sulaiman removed Shakur's title, just as he had done with Terence Crawford, accusing both fighters of rule violations and failing to make required payments, leading to their loss of WBC title status. Sulaiman's strict enforcement of the rules has sparked backlash, as many question the fairness and consistency of his decisions.
The WBC super lightweight, then he unified and became undisputed in welterweight against WBC champion, who was Spence, great fight. Yeah. He petitioned to fight a final elimination bout in super welterweight against Madrimov and remain champion in welter. The WBC supported him. He did not comply with the rules. Then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000.
Shakur Stevenson vented on X, questioning why he should pay a $100,000 fee after already settling up following his last fight. He challenged the WBC, asking if they were targeting him because of their issues with Bud Crawford. His frustration echoed Terence Crawford's stance, who pointed out how officials comfortably profit off fighters who endure physical punishment only to be hit with unnecessary WBC sanctioning fees. Both fighters are calling out a system that seems to exploit athletes while offering little in return.
You know, and guess who gotta pay for it? Us fighters. We paying for y'all to come out here, have the time of y'all life, stay in the best hotels of y'all life, and it's all done on our dime. It's done on our dime. Do that sound right to y'all? It's crazy, ain't it? We the one out there getting battered, knocked upside our head, and every time we step foot in the ring, we gotta pay them a sanction fee like they the government. We getting taxed. It's crazy.
Shakur Stevenson fired back, calling the $100,000 a payment to crooks who don't deserve it and adding, "Nah, Leilani, I'd rather give it to you, baby girl." He expressed frustration with the WBC's interference, pointing out that they had no role in his latest fight, but were still trying to capitalize on it. "Take your belt. It don't make me," he snapped, showing his defiance. Meanwhile, Roy Jones Jr. weighed in, condemning the practice of stripping a champion's title, calling it unfair, disrespectful, and a move that damages the reputation of the organization.
A lot of people were really upset about it. And
I don't really want to get too deep into that. All I'm going to say is it's wrong for him to be stripped if he didn't even defend the title.
Yeah. It's all.
Chris Mannix delivered a scathing critique of the WBC, condemning their demand for excessive fees from Shakur Stevenson as both disgusting and unjust. He stressed that no matter how much Shakur earns, it's rightfully his, and the WBC has no moral claim over his earnings. Mannix called out the flawed sanctioning system, arguing it exploits fighters who already endure immense physical and mental challenges in the ring. He highlighted how athletes sacrifice their bodies, take risks, and dedicate their lives to the sport, only to be burdened by unnecessary financial demands from organizations like the WBC.
As crooked and shady as you can possibly get. And for the WBC to do this now, when sanctioning bodies are under attack, when the sanctioning system is under attack, this is a glaring example about why maybe they shouldn't exist. Maybe they shouldn't be in boxing if you are going to reach into the pocket of a fighter like Shakur Stevenson, ask for $100,000. According to Shakur, there's been no comment on this from the WBC. I asked for one. I talked to a member of their staff and said, tell me what's going on here. And all I've seen is the Instagram post of the WBC saying they were stripping him. To reach into the pocket of a fighter for a fight that you have nothing to do with and asking for $100,000. I don't care how much money Shakur Stevenson made that night. That's his money. That belongs in his pocket. The WBC had nothing to do with it. It is disgusting. Disgusting that they stripped Shakur Stevenson of that belt. And Shakur would be right to never fight for a WBC belt.
The WBC sparked controversy with Terence Crawford after he refused to pay a $300,000 fee following his fight with Canelo Alvarez. Many sided with Crawford, arguing he was justified in rejecting such an exorbitant demand. He questioned why he should pay such a large sum, especially when other sanctioning bodies like the IBF, WBA, and WBO never raised concerns about the fees he paid them. For Crawford, those organizations accepted their share without issue. Shedding light on the arbitrary demands sometimes imposed by the WBC, he made it clear that his earnings were his business. And Mauricio Suleiman, the WBC president, had no valid reason to ask for extra money. Even when Crawford offered the WBC the standard 3% of his earnings, they refused and insisted on a higher 6%, significantly more than what other organizations required. Analysts pointed out that, apart from awarding the belt, sanctioning bodies contribute little to the fight itself, making their inflated fees hard to justify.
I think Terence Crawford's well within his rights to say that I ain't giving you $300,000. Why? Like, why am I giving you $300,000? What for? And don't talk about my purse. Mauricio Suleiman saying Terence Crawford made 50 million. What's that got to do with you? No. And what I like as well about Terence, he said, look, I gave the IBF money, I gave the WBA money, I gave the WBO money. We haven't heard any of those organizations moan about the amount Terence Crawford gave to them. They're like, oh, we'll take it. Because ultimately, what are they doing? Apart from strapping a belt around your waist, what are they doing? And we'll get to that as well. So he then tried to give the WBC that amount of money as well. They clearly said, no, we're not taking that. We want a bit more. And then they're like, okay, normally we take 3%, but 3% of 50 million would have been too much. So you know what? We'll allow you to pay us 0.6.
Shakur Stevenson remains undefeated, and his belt was never taken from him in the ring. However, the WBC declared his title vacant after he moved up in weight, citing his absence as creating a void in the division. This decision allowed new contenders to vie for the belt, even though Stevenson never lost it. It's crucial to note that the title was vacated administratively, not through defeat. This means Stevenson's career remains unscathed, as the action was a technical one, not a reflection of his skill or record. By clarifying the facts, it's clear that Stevenson's achievements stand firm, and his undefeated status continues to solidify his place among boxing's elite.
Inactive at that weight class. So, despite nobody beating Shakur Stevenson, he is an undefeated fighter. Nobody took his belt. But for whatever reason, the WBC has decided him moving up has created some type of void and have now made and declared his title vacant, allowing the division to successfully move forward with new contenders. So in this case, Stevenson, he didn't lose his belt in the ring. Nobody beat him. He's still undefeated. The title was vacated administratively, which is a difference. And we need to establish the facts from the fiction. So nobody beat Stevenson. It doesn't really hurt his career, his official box rec. And it says he's suspended by the commission indefinitely. So I'm not sure if he has some type of injury, but usually when it says indefinitely, they got to get clearance from a doctor to come back. And again, this could be possibly from his fight with Shakur Stevenson. So this is a developing story, and we'll see ultimately how it plays out, what the WBC officially decides to do in terms of who's next and what's next. So what are the facts? What does this mean? Shakur Stevenson was not stripped for any type of misconduct. Shakur was not penalized per se, and Shakur Stevenson is not suspended. So it simply reflects the WBC has considered him no longer active at lightweight at this time. A bit political. That's the only thing that I can think of.
Analyst A. Oladipo finds the WBC's decision to strip Shakur Stevenson of his 135 lb title both unusual and controversial. Stevenson, an undefeated champion, had made it clear he intended to move up in weight temporarily with plans to return to the 135 lb division. Despite this, the WBC declared his title vacant, claiming his inactivity in the weight class created a void, allowing new contenders to compete for the belt. Oladipo points out that this situation underscores the WBC's often rigid and bureaucratic approach. Even though Stevenson's last fight wasn't a title defense, the WBC's rules demanded he pay 50% of the sanctioning fee as if it had been, further highlighting the organization's stringent practices.
Blast WBC and responds to being stripped of a 135-pound title. This is a bit wild. It's a bit wild. And the reason it's a bit wild, there's so many different reasons actually, but one of the biggest reasons is that Shakur has always said, I want to go up to fight Tio, but I want to come back down to 135. So basically, he's almost telling the WBC, let me go up there, I will come back down. And with what the WBC are going through right now, and this battle with Zuffa, where, you know, they've got some real big players and power over there, and they're saying F the belts, and WBC are fighting, saying no, the belts mean stuff. The last thing you want to do is have a public spat, a public back and forth with one of the biggest names in boxing right now. Now, Shakur Stevenson is one of the biggest names in boxing. And the thing about Shakur as well, you piss him off, this guy will go straight to social media and make it known that he's pissed off, and that's what he's done.
The analyst considers the WBC's policy excessive, especially since Stevenson never lost his belt in the ring. Oladipo also highlights how the WBC's treatment of Stevenson mirrors past controversies with other fighters, showing how sanctioning fees and administrative decisions can create friction between champions and the organization. While Stevenson's career remains intact since the title was stripped administratively and not through defeat, this situation raises serious questions about the fairness and transparency of the rules governing sanctioning bodies.
Or from him, sorry, which was $100,000. Now, a lot of you might say, well, one second, his last fight wasn't for the WBC, it was for the WBO and the ring title. Why did the WBC want any money from him? The WBC have a clause, I think it's either 7.3 or 7.4, yeah, where even if you do not fight for the WBC belt, if you're a champion of their belt, i.e. which Shakur Stevenson was, you have to pay 50% of the sanctioning fee as though the WBC belt was on the line. Does that make sense? Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to find it and read it out to so I'm not paraphrasing, because this is quite important and I think it's a joke. I think it's a joke. I really do. All right. Okay, yeah. All right, rule 7.3. I'm going to put this on the screen.
The analyst notes that Shakur Stevenson has consistently stated that he is a 135 lb fighter, moving up in weight only for specific matchups. Recently, he dominated former unified lightweight and WBO junior welterweight champion Teofimo Lopez, further solidifying his status. With a record of 22 wins, 2 losses, and 13 knockouts, Stevenson has made his intentions clear. He plans to compete at 135 pounds unless a special opportunity presents itself. Despite this clarity, the WBC acted hastily by vacating his 135-pound title, showing little patience for him to make his next move. Stevenson's repeated statements about his future plans at 135 pounds underscore his commitment to the weight class.
Stevenson made it abundantly clear that he's a 135 pounder. He's going up in weight just for situational fights. He just defeated 2-division world champion, former unified lightweight, and now former WBO junior welterweight superstar, Teofimo Lopez, in dominating fashion. He's now 22 wins, 2 losses, no draws, 13 wins by way of knockout. After a beautiful performance, a dominating performance, the WBC, in a rush to do nothing,
Shakur Stevenson has also shown a willingness to fight Lamont Roach, who the WBC elevated to the number to spot at 135 pounds. At no point has Stevenson suggested he plans to stay at 140 pounds permanently. Analysts emphasize that the WBC's rushed administrative decision ignored Stevenson's plans and his undefeated record, calling into question the organization's decision-making process and its treatment of top fighters. The move raises concerns about the WBC's consistency and fairness in handling champions.
This dude, Shakur, has told the world, I'm 135 pounds. I plan on competing at 135 unless there's a situation that presents itself. You got Lamont Roach, who you elevated to the number 2 fighter in the WBC at 135. Right? Shakur says yesterday, I'm willing to fight Lamont Roach. We're going to make it happen. Right? Now,
from an analyst's perspective, Shakur Stevenson's move to the 140 pounds division opens up far more exciting opportunities for boxing. While a return to 135 pounds is possible, it seems less captivating after his dominant victory over 2-division champion Teofimo Lopez. Analysts argue that the WBO strap and the lineage title he now holds at 140 pounds carry greater weight than his previous achievements at 135 pounds. Competing in this division offers the potential for high-profile matchups, including a possible showdown with WBO welterweight champion Devin Haney, which could become one of the sport's most compelling fights in 2026. The 140 pounds division also features other top fighters, often considered part of boxing's elite, giving Stevenson the chance to take on meaningful, competitive bouts that will elevate both his career and the sport as a whole.
In the 140-pound division, I think there's more attractive fights in the 140-pound division, because if you would have gone back to the lightweight division, Muay Thai would probably be the most intriguing matchup, and I don't know if after beating Teofimo Lopez, that I think that would have been going backwards. I believe that the WBO strap that he got right now and the lineage title that he got on is more valuable in the 140-pound division than going back to the 135-pound division. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that he could also petition to be the WBO mandatory to the welterweight champion in the WBO in Devin the Dream Haney. I think that would be an attractive matchup in 2026 following that type of performance versus...
While Keyshawn Davis holds the WBO mandatory position at 140 pounds, a fight with Stevenson seems unlikely, showcasing the tension between mandatory obligations and more enticing matchups. Analysts agree that Stevenson's move to 140 pounds ultimately benefits his legacy, positioning him for bigger challenges and creating more exciting contests for fans. This shift not only enhances his career, but also ensures his place as one of boxing's top, undefeated fighters, poised for high-profile battles that will continue to captivate the boxing world.
For the Four Kings, the Fab Five, whatever you want to call it, and I think that's just better for the sport of boxing. That's better for Shakur Stevenson, and I think that's a very winnable fight right there. We know that Keyshawn Davis is in WBO mandatory position right now in the 140-pound division, but we all know that they're not going to fight. So, we all could keep on asking Keyshawn and Shakur, when you going to fight? Are you going to fight? Both of these guys already saying they're never going to fight again. So, the Keyshawn Davis is going to be moving up to the 147-pound division, right? So, unless that Tank was active at 135, that's the only fight that the world want to see at 135 is Shakur versus Tank. We're not gonna see Kid Austin versus Shakur Stevenson at 135. That Shakur, the Kid Austin, he lost that opportunity.
That's a wrap for today's video. Stay tuned for more. Until next time.